Welcome to Eggcellent Adventures, where I, your host Reec Swiney, take a step away from my duties as a radio and TV personality and give you a first-hand look at my other love, backyard chickens and homesteading. Take a listen to conversations I have with others who are in farming, homesteading, and connected brands. And some of those conversations go a little like this.
She does say I have too much, though. She says I have too many, but I don't think I have enough.
The chicken math started mathing.
Yep, it's never ending.
I only started with like 4 laying hens. Now I have over 100 chickens and geese and quail.
So the first question we ask everybody that comes on to the Eggcellent Adventures, what was your old cluck moment?
The first thing that comes to mind is when the first time I got locked inside one of my own chicken coops.
We talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Now let's see who's on this episode of Eggcellent Adventures. Welcome back to another episode of Eggcellent Adventures. This sound crazy. Welcome to another episode of Eggcellent Adventures. Today we have Brenda of Home Sweet Homestead. We're friends on social media. Now we're about to get up close and personal, learn a little bit about her homestead, homeschooling, and journey. Welcome to the show, Brenda.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So you have chickens, you have ducks, you have children, you have husband, you have land. So we're going to talk about all those things today and your journey and transition into homesteading, because some people they want to do it, but they don't know if they should jump right into it or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we also want to know the question that we ask everybody. What was your old cluck moment? What's that moment that you knew you were a chicken person, a chicken mama?
Well, there's been many of them. But I would say probably most recently, I have a very sick rooster right now. He's got a respiratory illness, and I was nebulizing him.
Okay.
My husband's like, really? But I love him. He is the sweetest rooster. He follows me around whenever I'm outside with them, and I just can't bear the thought of losing him. So I'm doing whatever I can to help him.
It is hard. It's hard. I am 0 for 16 with roosters. So having a sweet rooster or one that's family friendly, that is one you definitely will be doing, giving them mouth to mouth or beak to lips, I guess.
Yeah, I've been using a dropper. He's not really eating or drinking, so I've been using a dropper, to try and get water in him. He's very dehydrated. I'm trying all the things, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to make it. It'll be hard if he doesn't. It
is really hard when you have them because they become pets and family. You know how that goes. It's you learn all their little, their personalities and all that type of stuff too. So sorry you're dealing with that.
Unfortunately, it's part of the game.
Mm-hmm. It is part of the game. It's the hard part.
We've, in the last 2 months, we have dealt with this issue. We've had a handful of chickens get bumblefoot. We had fowl pox. And then I had a chicken that had wry neck. So it's everything, and everything you can think of has happened in the last 2 months. So far, we've only lost 2 hens, but we'll see what happens with this guy.
Got you. We just interviewed Better Flock, and they have some great products that seem to help with not just helping with disease through the water sources, but also preventative stuff. So they kind of really fine tune that stuff. It might be something you might want to look into. I don't know.
Yeah, thanks. I'll look into that. I know. I'm I don't understand. We were doing so well. Everybody was so healthy. And then all of a sudden,
it's boom, boom, boom. But they say it comes in 3. So hopefully you're on the flip side of it.
I hope so. Yeah.
All right. Tell me about ducks.
The ducks.
That's all I can say. I love my ducks, but they're the worst.
It's funny because ducks are so much hardier than chickens. Yeah. I've learned because we haven't had any issues with the ducks, and we have the ducks because my husband can't eat chicken eggs. Okay. So he eats the duck eggs. And I'm always complaining about his ducks. I'm like, your ducks are so gross. They're so messy. But I had to finally admit that in the long run, his ducks are way easier because they don't get the same kind of illnesses like chickens do. So yes, they're smelly and we have to clean their water, every other day. And then as soon as it's clean, they're pooping in it again. But at least they stay healthy. So in that regard, they're a lot easier.
This is very true. I've never had a sick duck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sick of the ducks.
Right. Yes. And they always sound like they're laughing at you.
Yeah. I pooped in the water.
Yeah. They're entertaining. They definitely are, but they for us, I wouldn't have him if he didn't need the eggs, just because we don't have a good setup for them. They're in a confined pen, and we have to bring them water. If we had more land and we had a lake or, a pond or something, then I think ducks would be so much easier. I think they're just challenging when you have to keep them in a smaller space and you don't have like regular water for them. You have to create water for them.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm dealing with the same issue. I saw someone made a filtration system for their mini pool, for like their kiddie pool. And he was like, it's been working great. He went back like 6 days later and showed the update. And I was like, okay, I might have to look into this and build myself some filtration, because I'm so sick of dealing with duck poop every day.
How many ducks do you have?
Now I have 6.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of duck poop.
A lot of duck poop. A lot. Yep. And the guineas want to live with the ducks. They don't want to live with the chickens. They want to live with the ducks. So now it's guineas and ducks together in this area.
Do the ducks like the guineas? Because the ducks don't seem to like chickens very much.
They don't seem to like the chickens very much, but they don't, I don't want to say they love the guineas, but they seem to have made a flock.
Well, hey, whatever works, I guess. We used to have our ducks and chickens intermixed, and they got along all right for the most part, but then they were fully enclosed, and then we built an area where they could come out and free range more, still fenced in, but it wasn't enclosed on top, and the ducks just kept flying out. And when the chickens get out, they stay pretty close to the flock, but the ducks are just like taking off, wandering around our yard, and we're chasing ducks. And so I was like, that's it, you're going in your own pen, completely closed. You've lost your privilege to free range.
Makes so much sense. For whatever reason, I'm not trying to jinx it, let me knock on wood or something, but my ducks won't fly, no problem. Like, they just waddle around and they run around the yard, and that's it. And I gotta like corral them back into the area at night.
We've reached that part of the show where we hook you up with some insider information, and this time it's some egg side information. Y'all know what I mean. Because people ask me all the time, how do you get your chickens so fluffy and healthy and happy? And their eggs are so bright, beautiful, and they taste delicious too. I would love to dedicate all those things to me coming in and having a great time in that chicken coop every day and shaking it up with those ladies, but the fact is, it comes from a healthy and balanced diet of Purina's Laina. That's the brand we use. Whether you've got laying hens and you want to go with the Purina Laina plus omega-3, or you got a bunch of baby chicks running around in your brooder and you go with that Purina Start and Grow Crumble, you can't lose. I know we haven't. So visit their website today, and in 3 easy steps, you can get discount coupons for the Purina product that's right for some great nutrition for your animals. I did it myself, and it only took me about 2 minutes. It's absolutely worth it. And to make things easier, we have the hyperlink on our website, blackyardchickens.com. Just look under product of the month and you'll see the link right there to go and try your Purina Feed Greatness. And through their trial program, they can pair you with the right nutrition and let you try it with your animals and see the results. Now, I can tell you all day how Purina Feed Greatness has been absolutely phenomenal for my chickens, goats, ducks, and rabbits. But you can see for yourself. Go to blackyardchickens.com. Now let's get back to this week's adventure.
You have runner ducks though, right?
I had 2 runners. I got a Harlequin, I got a Swedish, and a Peking.
Okay, because I think the runners don't really fly much.
No. They're probably the only ones fit enough to fly, but they don't really fly. All the ones are pretty hefty.
Yeah, the runner ducks, they're real tall and slim.
Yeah.
Our Drake that we used to have, he was a runner duck. And so 2 of our ducks are a mix of runner duck and then buff Orpington, because that's what the mom was. But we had to get rid of him because he was a jerk.
Yeah, that's what happened with me. I had one I had to rehome. I had a Muscovy, and he was huge. Everybody thought he was a goose. But he was just really big. He was like almost 3 times bigger than all the other ducks. And when he got the feeling away, nothing was stopping him. So I had to get him out of there.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he was a danger to him and others.
Yeah, that's kind of how my poor sick rooster is when he gets that itch. When they were mixed in with the ducks, he jumped on a duck or 2. I was like, I don't know if that'll work, but so I told my husband, I was like, we got to get some more hens because the ducks are getting violated by the rooster.
Right.
He's like, I don't care. You'll work. You're a bird.
He's not a choosy lover. I get it.
He's not. No, he's young. He's less than a year old. So He is very, he's got a lot of spunk in that area. Our other rooster's older. I don't know how old he is because we got him from friends of ours. And he's also a very good rooster, but he doesn't like us. So he just avoids us. He doesn't attack us. He just, if we come out there, he just moves as far away from us as we can.
Okay.
But he is not as aggressive in that area. So I'm guessing that it has something to do with age, kind of like humans, I guess. And so, the new one, he's kind of like a teenager, like early 20s, and the other one's probably like, 55-year-old. I don't know. So, so I haven't seen him try. I never saw him try and get on any ducks or anything like that. He was a little bit more choosy in his pursuits.
He's learned his lesson. He knows what he likes.
Yeah.
Don't we all at a certain age?
Yeah, it's cute though because him and one of the hens, they've got their own little relationship. Like she just loves him, and they're always sitting by each other. And it's interesting because we got both of them from the same friend that has a farm. So I wondered if they were like a couple before at the farm, and then we took her, and then 6 months later brought him. She was probably really excited, like you're reunited, or something. I don't know, but it's cute to see how they have a little relationship going.
That's cool. So, Jim's back. I like it. So what with you? What came first, the chickens or the homestead?
The homestead.
Okay. So we went right into it.
Yeah, we bought our property now. It's a little over an acre. And I knew that I wanted to do chickens and a garden. I haven't really gotten to the gardening part yet because the chickens are keeping me so busy. I do like a container garden on my porch, but that's about it. And
it's more than Brenda.
Pardon?
That's more than I'm doing, Brenda. I grew 4 potatoes and I feel so accomplished. I haven't tried anything else since.
Well, I'm in South Central Texas too. So I have that working against me.
Yeah,
the heat and stuff. Though this year hasn't been too bad, but there's definitely a learning curve. And we have a lot of deer where we live. So we're going to have to build something before we can really put something out in the yard. But it was a few months after we moved in, I'd say 4 or 5 months, that we got a little bit settled. And I was like, all right, let's go get some chickens and ducks because we needed ducks for my husband. And so, we bought one of those little build them yourself coops on Amazon, and my husband put it together, and we got, like a 9x13 enclosure and stuck it inside of there, and went to friends of ours that have a farm and, bought 3 chickens and 2 ducks. We thought the ducks were both female. She didn't really pay attention. She just sent her kids to go catch them and put them in boxes.
Gotcha.
And after about a month or so, I was like, we have not gotten any duck eggs. Seems like they should be settled by now. Well, turns out we had 2 dudes.
Right. You won't be getting any duck eggs.
Yeah. So we weren't going to be getting any duck eggs. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, I don't know how many females I have, let me go check. And so she's like, I don't really have that many, but, I'll swap one out and give you one. And then in the spring after, I get some more, then you can swap the other one out. So, then we had 1 male and 1 female, and still the 3 chickens, and the male and female duck started doing their thing. And she is an extremely broody duck. She's in general bird. I've never seen a bird as broody as she is. Wow. And so she started collecting her eggs and made a nest. And so we thought, let's let her hatch some and see what happens. Then we'll have more ducks, because we still didn't realize how gross ducks are. And so we thought maybe we'll have lots of ducks.
Yeah. 50 ducks.
Instead of chickens, we'll just do, 20 ducks. No way. And so she hatched 3. There were 4 eggs in the first clutch that we let her keep, and 3 of them hatched. One of them got eaten by a 7-foot rat snake.
Twins. Keep going. I'm not going to stop you. Exactly what happened to me.
And we only knew that because we have an electric fence set up around the enclosure. And so he got in okay. And then when he had the duck in his belly, he couldn't fit back out, and he hit on the electric fence and shocked himself to death. So my poor husband goes out there at like 6 a.m. and there's this giant snake.
Roasted. Barbecue snake.
And he had to like cut it out of, you know, the fencing and stuff. And we have there's 4.5 acres of just like woods and stuff behind us that nobody lives on or anything. So we threw the snake back there. But like it bothered him all day that the snake wasn't dead. I don't know why. I mean, it's just a rat snake, you know, but he climbed back there with a shovel to find it and chopped its head off just to make sure.
We've reached that part of the show where we hook you up with some insider information. And this week, it's all about Eaton Pet and Pasture. And I got a 20% discount code for you. As farmers, we know the love and care it takes to raise happy and healthy animals. So choose the best when it comes to bedding, premium cut Timothy hay, and treats for your furry and feathery friends. So if you're looking for super absorbent hemp bedding or nesting pads for your laying ladies, look no further than Eaton Pet and Pasture. Check them out right now at EatonPetandPasture.com, and first-time shoppers get a 20% discount by typing in Reec at checkout. That's REEC at checkout. Now let's get back to another excellent adventure.
He's like, I know for sure it's dead now.
Right. Gotta be sure. You got yourself the one.
Yeah. So we had 2 ducks left. Well, then amazingly, like a month later, I don't even know if it was a month, she started making another nest collecting eggs. And I was like, you go, girl. I mean, that's crazy. So we let her hatch more eggs. That time we kept 6. I let her keep 6 eggs and 4 of them hatched.
Wow.
And so then at one point we had 7 ducks. The original Drake was a jerk. We had to separate him because he kept attacking the babies. And so eventually I just took him back to the farm where we got him from. So then we had the mom, and we ended up with 4 girls and 2 boys out of the 6 that hatched. And so we kept 2. And then a friend of mine who has a bunch of acres, she was interested in ducks. And I was like, they're free. You can have them. Come get them.
Come get them.
Take them. So we gave her the other 2 girls and 2 boys. And so that's how we ended up with the ducks that we have. So it's kind of cool. We have the mom and her 2 daughters. Okay. I have no idea if she realizes that they're her daughters. I don't know if ducks know that kind of thing, but she still makes nests and goes broody all the time. I mean, they're not fertilized anymore, so I have to take the eggs from her. And sometimes she is mean about it. Sometimes she lets me, and sometimes she will like snap at me. But
wow, yeah.
I feel bad because I'm like, they're just gonna rot, you know, they're not fertilized. Yeah. So, but she just wants to be a mama. It's pretty amazing to watch her. I thought about giving her chicken eggs, but I know there's the fear once the chicks hatch that they'll try and follow her into the water and they can drown. So
yeah,
I don't want to have to worry about that.
Yeah, you might have to get them and get them out.
So so we've got the 3 ducks, and we started with the 3 chickens. And then we went last year to Tractor Supply and got 6 sexed chicks.
Of course, sex. Air quotes. So if you guys are listening, not watching, air quotes when it says sexed chicks, because out of every 4 pullets, there's going to be a rooster or 5.
Yeah. We got 2 roosters out of our 6. That's how we ended up with Frankie, my one that's sick. And he was the sweetest. I mean, even as a chick, he was the sweetest, and he followed me around, and he would jump in my lap. And so I never imagined he would turn out to be a rooster. And so then, of course, I got attached to him. So once they were grown and we realized we had 2 roosters, I told my husband didn't want to get rid of the original rooster. And I was like, I'm not getting rid of this guy. He's sweet. He lets me pick him up and hold him. And I said, we're just going to have to get more chickens. So
get them more, ladies.
So we got 5 more after that. So then we were up to 15, 2 roosters and 13 hens, which is not an ideal ratio, but because
it's close to 10,
it wasn't bad. And because Frankie grew up under Vito's our alpha rooster.
He respects the boundaries.
They have, and so they worked out okay. Then we got the ones that were sick, and a couple of them died. And so then we went and got 7 like not little babies, but 7 pullets, older pullets from somebody else. That may be how Frankie got sick. I don't know if when we brought them home, we brought it with them. None of them are sick.
Yeah, got you.
But that's always a chance. You know, if you don't have a closed flock, that's always a chance you take. I hope not. I'll feel really bad that I went to get Frankie more ladies and then he got sick first new ladies.
That is terrible.
So now we have 18 hens and 2 roosters. So in a year and a half, we went from 3 chickens to 20 chickens.
There you go. It's how chicken math works.
That escalated quickly.
Very quickly.
And my husband just finished building our 3rd coop.
I love it. Went from an Amazon coop to your 3rd coop.
Yes. And our new one is an 8x8 walk-in. So we've got plenty of space. I don't want any more than we have because we're having so many health issues. Like I don't have time to deal with that many chickens if they get sick. Right. And that's good enough. It gives us enough eggs. It allows me to sell a few dozen a week, you know, to make a little bit of money to pay for feed. That's good at this point.
It is. What are you doing as far as care, like with the bumblefoot and any of those sicknesses? Did you find any remedies or cures you can share with us?
Yeah. So I'll start with the fowl pox because that was the easiest. Thankfully, it was the dry fowl pox and only 3 chickens got it, one of whom was Frankie. And so I think he already probably had a weaker immune system to begin with, which might be why he got as sick as he did now. He got it. And then 2 of my hens that had been broody got it because they probably also had really weakened immune systems because one of them kept brooding for like 5 weeks. I couldn't get her to stop, even though I kept taking the eggs. So they were pretty easy to treat. All I did was I got some Vetricin and sprayed it on their combs. And the one hen I had to remove because she actually got scabs on her eyes. She's an Americana, so she doesn't have the comb. Right. So she got the scabs around her eyes and she couldn't really see. And I was just afraid of the other ones hurting her so I took her out until the scabs fell off and just kept spraying her with the Vetricin and she did fine. And with Frankie and the other one, both of them, the scabs just fell off and they were fine. For the rest of the flock, for the first several days, I went around at night when they were roosting and I sprayed their combs with a colloidal silver mix.
Okay.
Spray.
Yes.
And that seemed to help. Nobody else got it. So that thankfully was pretty easy. With the bumblefoot, I ended up with 3 that had that. The first one I didn't catch in time and she ended up dying from it. But that is a whole process. There are a couple, well, I'm sure there's several, but you can go on YouTube and find out how to treat those. It's actually really gross because you have to pull the scab out. Yeah. And it comes out this big, like,
I've done it before.
Yeah. So
like big block of nastiness.
Yeah. So, so I treated that, you know, I soaked their foot in Epsom salt and, then I pulled the stuff out and put Neosporin in it, you know, and sprayed it with Vetricin and wrapped it. I still have one. She still has the scabs, but her feet aren't swollen anymore. And so I think it's just a matter of the scabs just healing. So I just clean it and rewrap it every few days. And she's doing fine. And the other one had real small scabs. Her feet didn't even swell. So I don't think hers, it was very advanced. So she was pretty easy to treat. Now with this respiratory illness that we have with Frankie, I have been giving him injectable antibiotics that I got from someone. I've given him 2 doses so far, and I nebulized him and was using the Vet RX, you know, on his comb and his wattle. And the other ones, I got this liquid antibiotic, and I've been putting that in their water so that hopefully Vito actually seemed like he was coming down with it. And because he wasn't crowing much at all and he was laying down a lot. And one of his eyes swelled shut. So since I had the antibiotics, I gave him a dose of the injectable antibiotics also, and he seems to be fine now. So him, I think I caught it early enough. So far, fingers crossed. Everybody else seems to be okay. There's a few that seem like they're a little run down, but I think putting the antibiotics in the water is helping them fight it off. but none of the newbies seem to have anything. So that's why I'm not sure that it came from them. I don't know. I don't know how it got in there. You never know.
Always a chance. You're trying to do the right thing by them by getting them some more ladies so they're not competing and everybody stays fine. I've done that too. So it's like that's when I learned I had to get a quarantine pen and leave them in there for 10 days and at least 10 to 20 days and see what happens and all that stuff. But it's like still no guarantee they're not going to get too close to that pen. So.
Yeah, I did. I had them penned separate, but they were in the enclosure with them so everybody could get used to each other. And I had them in there for a week and kept an eye on them. And like I said, even now it's been almost 2 weeks and they're all fine. So, a friend of mine said they could have been carriers. Well, there's no way to know that, so that's why, I guess if you do an open flock, that's just a risk you're always going to take. So I told my husband, I said, I don't know, maybe we should try to do closed flock. And if we have a hen go broody, just let her hatch them and see what happens, so that we replace as we go. I don't know. I say that now, but chicken math, in 6 months from now, I'll probably
90 chickens.
10 more chickens out there.
So if you're looking to start your flock, add to your flock, or maybe add a few ducks, chickens, or geese, My Pet Chicken is the website for you. And if you're just getting started, they even have a tool to help pick the perfect poultry for your backyard flock. Check them out today at mypetchicken.com. Right now, you can get $10 off when you join the SMS Club. mypetchicken.com. Raise fun, happy, and healthy chickens from live poultry to coops and supplies. My Pet Chicken has everything you need to start, grow, and maintain your backyard flock. Shop today. mypetchicken.com.
You never know. I mean, that's kind of how it works. But you're doing an amazing job. That's why I wanted to get you on the show, just kind of get a gist of your story and your different journeys that you're going through, because we can all learn from it. And you're all the way in the homestead in life. You do homeschooling. You got classes on how to cook things deliciously. Tell me about these things and how did you get into them?
Yeah, so I homeschool. I have one son, he's 7, and I've been homeschooling him since after preschool. And that was just something that we just felt was best for our family, after he was in preschool during COVID, and thankfully his preschool never shut down. They didn't even have to wear masks or anything like that, thankfully. But it just kind of opened our eyes to a lot of different things, and we just felt it was best to have him here with us, when I really think about sending him off to school and being gone 8 hours a day, excuse me, like I would hardly get to see him, and so I enjoy it. I never would have imagined that I'd be a homeschooling mom like that. My mom says she's not surprised because when I was little, I would play school with my stuffed animals instead of, and so she said, but to be quite honest, I'm not a kid person in general, so I didn't grow up thinking like, oh, I'm going to have this, gaggle of kids and I'm going to homeschool them all. Like that was just not something that I also never expected to have 20 chickens in my backyard. 20 years ago, I wanted to be a fashion designer in New York City. So.
Okay. That is a plot twist. Plot twist.
My life has changed a lot over the last 20 some years, so. But I enjoy it. I love it. Like I said, I couldn't imagine sending him off to school. And it's nice because I do year-round schooling with him. And so that gives us a lot of flexibility. And times like now when I'm busy trying to nurse a sick rooster or we go on vacation or whatever, we can take days off or take weeks off. And it's not a big deal. I mean, he's a whole grade ahead in math at this point anyway.
I believe it.
And it's nice that I can play up on his interests too. There are things that he excels at and he enjoys more. And so we focus more on that. The things he struggles with, we can take more time doing and, wait for the pieces to fall into place. And it's been really amazing watching him learn, like that is something that if you don't homeschool, you don't actually watch that transition of your child starting with learning letters to reading. And that is something that I've been able to watch him do and help him do. And it's really incredible to see when it all just starts clicking, and you struggle and struggle and struggle. And then all of a sudden he's reading, and it's like, it's amazing. So I really enjoy it a lot. And I'm very grateful that, we're in a position that I can homeschool him. I mean, I do work part-time, but I'm an independent consultant. I do HR consulting. And so I work for myself and I take on clients as I need or want. And that allows me to work as much or as little, and so that, and then I can be home with him and do that. So yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
That makes so much sense. Like, I know going outside and then most people we speak to, they're like, when I do this with my chickens or do this with my farm animals or do this with my plants, it's really rewarding. But you get like a double reward because you get to make sure that your flock is good, your chickens, your ducks, you know what I mean? And then you got sun there and you can see the growth like you just explained. So I know that has to give you another sense of just like, wow.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And then, in the middle of all that, now I sound like a trad wife, but in the middle of all that, I'm making a fresh loaf of sourdough bread for dinner.
Right. I love it.
And then my husband comes home to a nice warm loaf of fresh sourdough bread.
I'm so glad you shared that too, because you're making me want to like bake bread and stuff now. I'm like, you know what? I think I could bake bread. Brenda's baking bread. She's showing me how to bake bread.
Again, it's not something I ever thought I would be doing. I never baked anything from scratch until a year and a half ago when I made my first loaf of sourdough bread. Like, I've always enjoyed cooking, but I don't like following recipes. Like when I cook, and that's why you'll notice if you ever look at things that I post on Instagram, even meals I make, there's no measurements. There's just ingredients because that's just how I cook. I don't measure things.
Yeah.
So I was scared of baking because baking, you have to measure, but I'm gluten intolerant and I really missed eating real bread. And so I had heard that if, it's just a sensitivity, a lot of times you can eat the sourdough because it's fermented and it's been broken down and it's easier to digest. And so I was like, well, that is definitely worth trying. And it took a while to get a good starter going, but, and I'll be honest, I don't even have my original starter. My original starter, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was temperature fluctuations. I couldn't keep it going. And my friend actually that we gave the ducks to, she's like, I really want to bring you something, for the ducks. And I was like, give me some of your sourdough starter. So she had a really good, like 3-year-old starter. And so she gave me some of that. And that thing is a rock star. It's almost foolproof with this starter that I have, which is nice because I'm torn in so many different directions. Like I don't have time to babysit sourdough starter or dough or anything. And so thankfully it's mature enough that I can just kind of do things on the fly and my loaves still come out good. I sell, my husband's coworkers buy a lot of loaves off me.
Now you're a bread dealer.
I'm a bread dealer. Yes, a bread dealer and an egg dealer.
Yeah, it is. I love it. You know why? Because we don't, like you said earlier, you didn't think this. You thought you were going to be doing fashion in New York. Myself, I do radio on a hip hop station and an urban AC station. So it's like, come on, like doing this stuff with chickens and farm animals and homesteading and baking bread and growing potatoes, so far outside of the wheelhouse, but now it's part of everyday life. It's rewarding. And then people enjoy it, like, especially on social media. How has that been for you? Because I'm meeting so many people like yourself that I wouldn't have a conversation with before because there was no synergy. Now we've got these people with similar interests. Now we're talking about baking sourdough bread and dealing eggs on a podcast. How is that for you with social media?
It's been great. I have a love-hate relationship with social media like everybody else, I'm sure. I pretty much only do Instagram. I will not do TikTok. I do Facebook mostly for the groups. And I've learned a lot, but I've also learned that Facebook groups, everybody thinks they're an expert and everybody's going to tell you what you're doing wrong. And so you got to approach it with caution, I think, if you go to Facebook groups for things. But I do love Instagram. I'm sure I know I spend way too much time on there sometimes. And I'm definitely more of a consumer than a creator. I try so hard to, I want to be like, I kind of want to be like, I want to be this homesteading influencer. But at the same time, I don't really actually like creating content.
But you have stuff that people can learn from.
I do, yes. And so I do try to post things when I can, but I also, I don't feel like I have to do it. You know what I mean? It's not my job, thankfully. I would not enjoy it as a full-time job where I have to post things for brands. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a brand partnership here and there, but I've learned it's not something that I would want to try to do full time and really make money off of.
Gotcha.
but it has been great for building a community. Especially when you're a stay-at-home mom, basically, you work from home. We do have some homeschool groups that we go to and stuff, but it can get kind of lonely after a while. We live in the country. It's not like we're in a subdivision or whatever, and so it's been great for meeting people. I really started meeting people before we lived here. We lived in an RV for 10 months, and the RV community on Instagram is huge, and so I met a lot of people that way initially. And then when we decided that it was not a good fit for us at all, that would be a whole nother conversation. Actually, there's a video on my Instagram page, if you scroll back far enough, where I talked about why we left RV life, why it wasn't a good fit for us. We jumped into it blindfolded with both feet. We had no idea what we were getting into. It was a social experiment that was a learning process. But anyway, so when we jumped out of that and then we jumped into homesteading, then I found another whole community, and I have met some amazing people and I've learned so much. I always talk about my friend Katie on my videos, that I met. It's funny because I started following her on Instagram, and then our friends who have the farm where we got the chickens and the ducks are friends with her. And they used to have these gatherings, like, bring a side dish, everybody just come hang out up at their farm. And so then I actually met her in person, and it was funny because it was kind of like meeting a celebrity, it's like, I've been following you on Instagram, and she has like 40 or 50,000 followers, which to somebody like me that's a huge following, and so
especially similar interests.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, I think I follow you on Instagram. And so, we became friends, and she is my chicken shaman. I mean, she knows so much about chickens, and it's nice having her. I can text her, she's been helping me so much with Frankie and his illness, and it's nice that I've been able to meet people like that, and then I have people that message me, that are like, hey, my chicken has this now, what should I do? And so it's nice that we have that community and people can help each other, because otherwise I wouldn't have any idea what in the world I'm doing.
And that's I love it because you get it, like you said, you get to share ideas, you get to borrow things. People are willing to give you information, and you could take what you can use.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up homesteading. We had cats, and that was it.
You can't hurt those.
Yeah, I mean, our cats are the easiest. Ours are outdoor cats, and they have an automatic feeder. They are by far the easiest animal we have to take care of.
Autopilot.
It's like we don't have to do anything. When they want belly rubs, they come up on the porch and they lay down on their back, and we give them belly rubs. And if they don't want belly rubs, they just go off and do their thing.
That's it.
So, yeah, I would not be able to do this without. I mean, I guess I could. I'd have to get books and sit down and read them, but without especially the Instagram community and the people I've met, that has definitely made this an easier, if you can even say it's easy, easier lifestyle.
No, I got you. I definitely feel the same way about it. Like, I getting into these groups and have these one-off relationships with people from social media or, people in town. Like, you go to Tractor Supply, you're going to meet somebody, you exchange numbers. Somebody texted me yesterday, like, hey, do you want a boy goat? So, it's just like, that community grows as you grow too. And it's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've enjoyed it.
So what is the dream animal that you want when chicken math hits again?
Well, we don't have the space for it, but my dream animal would be donkeys.
Okay.
I love them. They are so cute and they're so sweet. Most of them. They would not serve much purpose except cuddling, which I'm okay with. I love to cuddle animals. That's just my thing. And so if we had more space, which there's a lot next door to us that's almost an acre that's empty. And we tried to buy it when we first moved in, and it's been empty for like 20 some years. The guy he's got boatloads of money. It's like not even on his radar. He doesn't even care that it just sits there empty. So I still have hopes that, God willing, maybe someday we'll be able to buy that space and have that and put a couple of donkeys over there just to roam. And then I can go out and give them hugs and kisses when I want to.
Mental health breaks.
Yeah.
I love it.
I wouldn't mind goats too, but I know goats can be a lot of work.
They're troublesome.
Yeah. And
Good
so
to cuddle, though.
I'm not quite ready to deal with that. Unfortunately, with the way our land is laid out, it's great for living because our house is way back from the road on our acre. So we have a lot of privacy in that respect, but we don't have a lot of space behind our house for animals. And I'm not quite at the point where I want to put goats in my front yard. Have not reached that level of hillbilly yet. Sorry if you're listening and you have goats in your front yard. You know, and I just don't necessarily want people to know everything we have, you know?
Yeah, I understand.
So we've got an acre, but we really don't have that much space that is usable for animals. But it's nice because my son has tons of space to run around and do his thing, which in the long run is definitely better for everybody involved.
Sounds like he loves it. Sounds like he loves the animals and just having space to run around.
He does, yes. And he even told me last night, he's like, I love living here. It's so fun. You know, when we were in the suburbs, we just had this tiny little yard and, you know, he could never be out front by himself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he'd have to be in the back and there just wasn't that much space for him. And he was only a few years old at that time. So I can't imagine now, you know, at 7, if we still had this tiny little yard, how I would keep him entertained. You know, now I'm like, there's a whole acre, go run around. We just got him one of those ninja slackline things.
That, yeah, the orange thing.
Yeah, that you put between the trees. And so he loves that. And that gives him something to do outside. And yeah, he loves the animals. He helps out a lot with them. He's not as attached to them as I am, which is probably a good thing. So when we do lose them, he doesn't get that upset. I mean, he has watched us cull the chickens that we've had to cull so far. You know, he just kind of stands there and watches. So that's good that he doesn't get upset about it. But it's nice. I keep telling him, though, I said, in a couple of years, this duck water, all you. That's going to be your job. Right now, he just has to help. But when he gets old enough, I'm like, this is going to be your job.
Yeah, 11 should be the golden age for duck water.
11? All right, I'll keep that in mind.
No, I'm just guessing, but it sounds about right.
Probably about right.
Nah, man, that's awesome, man. We really appreciate you. Can you tell people like some of the things that you have online that people can get into? Because I know you kind of got some tutorials with the cooking and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I have a lot of cooking tutorials, how to make, you know, homemade yogurt, how to make homemade mayonnaise, different kind of recipes, homemade Jello. I consider myself mostly crunchy. So I try to find healthier ways of making things. And so I post a lot of that and a lot of just recipes of stuff that I throw together and make. And then, chicken content. I mostly do stuff in stories. And so I'm trying to get better about saving highlights for things, especially like when they're sick, so that it's easy. Somebody can just click on, you know, fowl pox and see everything that I posted about fowl pox or bumblefoot or something like that. And I don't like to show my son on there much. I don't ever put his face or anything, but, you know, I'll post things on occasionally with him in the background or him from behind of our homeschool stuff and our homesteading stuff. Just a little bit of everything, the daily life here at this home sweet homestead and all the chaos that ensues about it.
That's it. Now, we appreciate you. This has been another excellent adventure. You've given us lots to take home with, some bumblefoot saviors, some different things to help sick birds, as well as giving some people some inspiration if they want to get out here and get to homesteading. So we definitely thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been another episode of Excellent Adventures.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Excellent Adventures, powered by Blackyard Chickens.
Now, if you think you want to raise your own backyard flock, here's the site for you, blackyardchickens.com. We make entertaining videos about raising baby chicks from scratch. You know what I mean by from scratch, right? Or maybe you want to learn how to take care of your own big chickens or hens and get those fresh eggs, building a coop or buying a coop, having the necessary things inside that coop to get great egg production. You'll learn a lot of the neat tricks I've picked up along the way from other chicken enthusiasts, and you can get pretty eggs just like those. So follow us on social media and check us out on our YouTube channel.